Imagine a world where you can hail a ride with just the touch of a button, and instead of a grumpy human driver, you get a shiny new cybercab. Tesla has started public road tests of its two-seat robotaxi in Austin, Texas, because who needs humans, right? The real question is, will the Cybercab be able to handle the infamous Austin traffic? With its advanced AI and navigation system, it's likely to be a smoother ride than with a human driver. But before we can all enjoy the thrill of being driven around by a robot, Tesla needs to iron out some kinks. Like, what if the Cybercab gets a little too excited and starts doing donuts in the middle of the road? Or what if it gets stuck behind a pedestrian who's too busy texting to notice the robotaxi waiting patiently behind them? These are the kinds of questions that keep Elon Musk up at night, probably. In other news, it turns out that humanoid robots can be used for more than just driving cars. A recent study showed that they can actually perform laparoscopic surgical tasks through teleoperation, which is just a fancy way of saying robotic surgery. Who knew that the future of medicine would involve robots in scrubs? Maybe Tesla can partner with hospitals to create a new line of medical robots, because why not? But let's get back to the Cybercab, because it's still the most exciting thing to happen to transportation since the invention of the wheel. Or at least, that's what Tesla wants you to think. In reality, it's probably just a fancy way of saying self-driving taxi, but who cares when it looks this cool? With its sleek design and advanced technology, the Cybercab is sure to revolutionize the way we travel. And speaking of revolutions, have you heard about the California dad who drove his family off a cliff? No, this isn't a joke, it actually happened. But the good news is that the charges against him were dropped after he received mental health treatment, because sometimes people just need a little help. Maybe Tesla can develop a new feature for the Cybercab that detects when the driver is having a mental health crisis and takes control of the vehicle, just in case. But in all seriousness, the development of autonomous vehicles like the Cybercab is a huge step forward for transportation. It's not just about convenience, it's about safety. With the ability to detect and respond to emergencies, autonomous vehicles can potentially save thousands of lives. And who knows, maybe one day we'll have a whole fleet of cybercabs driving around, making our roads safer and more efficient. Of course, there are still many challenges to overcome before we can achieve a fully autonomous transportation system. Like, what if the Cybercab gets confused by a construction zone and decides to take a detour through a nearby park? Or what if it encounters a pedestrian who's too busy staring at their phone to notice the robotaxi approaching? These are the kinds of scenarios that keep engineers up at night, probably. But despite the challenges, the future of transportation looks bright. With companies like Tesla leading the charge, we can expect to see more and more autonomous vehicles on the road in the coming years. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even have a robotaxi that can drive us to the moon. Okay, maybe that's a stretch, but a guy can dream, right? In the meantime, let's just enjoy the ride and see where the future of transportation takes us. With the Cybercab and other autonomous vehicles, we're on the cusp of a revolution that will change the way we travel forever. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even have a robotaxi that can make us a decent cup of coffee, because priorities. But for now, let's just focus on the safety and efficiency of autonomous vehicles. With the ability to detect and respond to emergencies, the Cybercab is a huge step forward for transportation. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even have a whole fleet of cybercabs driving around, making our roads safer and more efficient. The future is bright, and it's autonomous. And finally, let's talk about the potential impact of the Cybercab on the environment. With its electric motor and advanced navigation system, the Cybercab is a much more sustainable option than traditional gas-guzzling taxis. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even have a whole fleet of cybercabs driving around, making our air cleaner and our planet healthier. So there you have it, folks, the Cybercab is the future of transportation. With its advanced technology and sustainable design, it's a game-changer for the industry. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even have a robotaxi that can drive us to the moon, make us a decent cup of coffee, and save the planet. Okay, maybe that's a stretch, but a guy can dream, right? Thanks for joining me on this journey into the world of autonomous vehicles. It's been a wild ride, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. With companies like Tesla leading the charge, we can expect to see more and more innovative technologies hitting the market in the coming years. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even have a robotaxi that can drive us to the moon, because why not? If that made you laugh, hit subscribe, new funny finance videos every day.